And wake up, photo finish. Right, and that the old Full House intro. What up, gentlemen?
What's going on, partner?
How are we?
We're doing a very impromptu intro this week. What up, Fib? What up, Mr. P? How you doing, brother?
Not bad, mate. How are you?
What is going on?
Doing well.
Thrilled.
Doing
Yes.
well.
Another amazing week.
Yep. I think my computer's about to explode from everything going on my
Right.
end. But outside of that, I'm actually having a blast. Yeah, I think.
You seem like a man who
wait
likes
for
a
some-
project. You like to have a project. Am I wrong about that?
That's actually a very good observation, Pete. I actually always have had to have a project in my life, something that's like not finished, something that's kind of like I like to call it juggling grenades. You know, something I could just kind of keep working towards. I feel like if I ever say I'm done with something, I'm gonna like fall behind, and then I'm just gonna get buried. You know what I mean by life. So you're actually 100% correct. And growing up, I learned. You know, I grew up in an audio studio. I used to get out of detention by doing like the production on like the high school basketball and football videos. He was like, "Hey, if you produce our videos, I'll pretend like you're here for detention every single day." So that means I basically could cut class and do whatever the hell I wanted, and I would always get, taken care of in the morning for supervision. So
Nice.
you learn a lot of these traits. I'm kind of like the digital version of Liam Neeson.
Digital Liam Neeson. Okay. Yeah. Why do I feel like I didn't quite understand that jump? Why does that seem like a mild disconnect to me? What did I miss there?
When I say it's like I'm like
Because
a
you have
man
a
of many
particular set of
skills.
skills. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
particular
particular skills, but yeah.
Okay. There we go. I get it.
Yeah,
now.
maybe the joke was lost there in translation.
Oh, it was either not funny or I'm stupid. So pick your poison. You know what I mean?
More than likely not funny. Yeah.
It's or both.
Mo,
Platoon is in the house. Sakis is in the house.
There's a Kentucky Derby qualifier that has just ran. I don't know if you want to call it. It's obviously like a minute away from result time, but might be worth kicking off the show with a Kentucky Derby qualifier call.
Good day.
You are right, because this is a Kentucky Derby preview show. At least that's what it says on the title. Just here so we don't get fired, chat. But let's go ahead and take a look at this race, and let's call it.
Slow Gary. Susan. What's Susan doing in there, man?
All right, horses are in the gate, and I haven't called a race in weeks. They're off here in the Grand Anvil Stakes. Perlino shoots out to lead. Slow Gary down at the rail. Out for third, trotting on the inside of Susan. It's Zach in the blue silks. In fifth, that's Painkiller early on, followed by Taylor Nutton, going to round out top leaderboard here as they head out past the wire for the first time in this 9 furlong left-turning affair on the dirt. Track is yielding and racing is good here on third time Thursday. Grade 2 action coming at you. Perlino up top. Breaks 2.5. There comes Zach, followed by Slow Gary. Then it's Painkiller. No change in fourth. Runs in front of Rock of Cashel, who starts to advance from the back of the pack. And Susan's going to be the early or mid-race sixth-place runner here even. And I am absolutely rusty. I apologize. Off the turn now, onto the backstretch. It's Perlino. Perlino, no challenge there yet. Closest thing is Zach, who's off the rail and trying to advance. Painkiller there in fourth, joined on the inside. Slow Gary backtracks in the fourth. Rock of Cashel still there in fifth, and Taylor Nutton, no change in sixth. Just chilling there, half mile and 49 change as this field makes their way into the far turn. Zach up top. Perlino is fading quickly, even all the way down the rail, back into third. Hate to see it, but back to the top, it's Zach. Zach is there, now opens up by 3. Painkiller starts to get rolling here on the outside of Slow Gary. Perlino fights back and forth. Rock of Cashel, not to be outdone, has a speed of their own here on the outside and means business. But Zach attack even off the turn now as they head for home. Zach by 2, what you gonna do? Brothers, Rock of Cashel down the center of the track and looking for dancing, but it's Rock of Cashel, Painkiller down the center of the track and challenging Zach takes the lead. Rock of Cashel now is your new leader with one more challenge from Painkiller. It's going to be Rock of Cashel is going to be dancing their way to the winner's circle over Painkiller and Zaggy Boy.
Nice one.
Sheesh. Yeah, I should probably practice, huh? We got a big day Saturday. I'm doing everything else. I'm not even calling races.
Just drink,
Whew,
yeah, just
that was a
drink
hell of a
an
race,
extra
though.
Mountain Dew.
You think that's what it is? Just talk fast and nobody actually cares what I'm saying?
They just want the energy. They just want to feed off your energy, your big skeleton energy, big femur energy.
I mean, I feel like the energy's gotten better. You know.
Just talk
We're
like an
working on it.
auctioneer. Do you have auctioneers in America? Do you do auctions? You know, and they talk really fast.
They're coming around the turn.
Oh yeah, we got the storage auctions. I got $3 here now. We get $3.75. $3.75 on the other side. We get $3.90. $3.90 there on the other side. $4.
That is kind of how they
I would
call
love to
races
do that,
here
actually.
sometimes too. Actually, yeah.
Sold.
Some people, yeah.
Sold for
Sold
third
to the man
place.
in the blue hat for $4.20. All right.
How is everybody
show.
doing? 4 p.m. You know, for me personally, 4 p.m. You know, obviously we're in a different time zone than Peep. 4 p.m. is like when my caffeine kind of wears off. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of like, it's a little bit of a trough. You know, for me. 7 p.m. I'm picking back up. You know, I probably just got back from the gym. 4 p.m. You know, what's going on at 4? You know, how does 4 hit you? How does 4 hit you, Mo?
Well, 4 o'clock is kind of rough for me as well. 4:20, on the other hand, is normally a pretty good time for me to get rolling. But
good. We're expecting.
I actually, you know, I talk about it quite a bit on the show and even on my own streams. But, and again, I'd imagine it's harder for Peeb. But for me, photo finish has done so much good for my life as far as, you know, socially, financially, and even just fixing my schedule. I've always, my girl will tell you, my schedule has been all over the place for the past decade, 15 years of like working online. It's like sometimes I'm up till 6 in the morning, sometimes I'm getting up at 6 in the morning. But now I am up at 9:30 a.m. looking at the races. Now I'm checking the claimers. I'm looking, you know, I'm getting like my day is getting started with the PFL day, right? Like, I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but it's crazy, man. Like, so yeah, by 4 o'clock, I'm kind of like 3 coffees deep. You know, I just made my 4th actually for the day.
What is it? It's about 9 p.m. I know it's about 9 p.m. for Peeb right now, I believe, right? 9,
I was about
10?
to ask him, yeah, what is the time difference?
It is 5 hours. Yeah, it's 9 p.m. Just before the stream started, Fib and Mo met my little boy who should be in bed, but decided to crawl out and come and say hello. He was transfixed by the skeleton.
He was. He had no words. He was like just figuring it out. Like it was just seeping in. That man can be skeleton.
Yeah, I'm hoping for no reappearance when he when we're live.
Yeah, just close the gate, man. Draw the moat.
Oh, we don't have gates. We're a liberal family.
I see.
Hence why I walked into my office. Oh shit.
There are no gates where we're going. Poker player said Mo would be a great auctioneer. Thank you. Maybe if this whole digital virtual horse racing thing doesn't work out. Shout out to RVA in chat. What up? Said early to Peeb. Got at least another 6 hours before bed. All right.
What do we got? We got a hot 30 viewers for a 4 p.m. stream starting off. Pretty good. Fair.
That's a pretty good start. We do have the third time Thursday maiden. And just in case anybody joined the race, so it would go off during the show and make sure we call it. But
sure, yeah.
We don't want anybody spending their hard-earned money for content, and we don't provide said content.
Interesting concept about you becoming an auctioneer outside of photo finish, and maybe become a auctioneer inside a photo finish.
That would actually be awesome now that I think about it. Do I got Steamy Window for 40,000 Derby? Do I hear 40,000 Derby for Steamy Window? Now make it 42. Empty Wallet there, gonna run along in second, and followed him is Out to Pasture. Then comes Cash Aurelius Johns. That one actually caught me off guard. But here we go now, out to shoot and on to the main track for Groove's Summer Runner here. That beautiful B+. Steamy Window opens up by 3. And comes out to pasture on the outside. Empty Wallet there in third. Cash Aurelius John's going to bring up the back of the pack here. Opening quarter in 24 and change. And we are cruising into the turn in this 7 furlong right turning affair on the dirt. Track is sloppy. And here we go. Steamy Window continues to open up here over the field. Empty Wallet now moves up in the second. Out of pasture. It might be out of it. But it's Cash Aurelius Jones now off the rail and looking for tail. Half mile and 49 and change. And this is what you pay for, chat. Steamy window opens up by a country mile, make it even 7 or 8 furlongs. What, 7 or 8 furlongs? 7 or 8 lengths even. Steamy window's off the top of the turn now, in the slop. Steamy window, 200 meters to go, but Out to Pasture is back. This is the revenge of the 4-horse. Out to Pasture is making one final surge, but Steamy window is holding on here for dear life. It's going to be to the wire, but it's going to be Steamy window over Out to Pasture, and it looks like Cash Aurelius Johns held third. 3-4-1 order finish.
Good
At least we're getting some good races.
Yep.
Yo, PFL auctions would be dope, and I would 100% sign up to do them. I'd be thinking about it during the race. That would be awesome.
So I think we've kicked around doing them on our stream next season, like yearling auctions. So I might actually hire you for that, Mo, because I can't be bothered being an auctioneer. I'm terrible at it. No one wants to hear my British
Yeah,
twang.
I would. I would.
Everybody,
certainly
on the
brush up on it.
contrary, Peep, everybody's interested in hearing your British twang. Everybody's curious.
no.
Everybody's morbidly fascinated by everything that you bring out. Some sort of foreign offering, very flavorful.
It's not even just British, it's down Northern. It's awful. I don't even know what accent I've got. It's one of those hybrid accents that no one can place.
Yeah. Here in America, we crave for any sort of culture. You know, it's a dearth of culture here. It's just so you know, we like flavor. We like Netflix and strip malls. So anyway, well, let's talk about this virtual Kentucky Derby. Amo, how much time we got between races here? Let's chat about what's coming, because you guys have been doing a lot of work on this.
Oh yeah.
And we just get to stop by, you know, which is really nice. This has given us a little bit of extra time. If we would have been preparing all this week for this, perhaps, but instead we get to work on big season 5 changes, tuning, a lot of schedule stuff, exciting new offerings, some late at night, incredibly late at night for some of us, for Peeb, beyond late, you know, maybe even early into the next day. Just kind of interesting, some interesting race types that we've been toying with, and more live ops, way more stakes races, undercards for the big events on Saturdays, all this stuff we've been working on for the last week, basically, just getting it in and testing it in stage and stuff like that. So that's what you've allowed us to focus on. So we appreciate that. I appreciate that very much.
Well, yeah, and that's what it's really about. I mean, you know, like I said, it's a team effort, honestly, like I said, with everything going on. And it's never really about, you know, obviously taking over. It's about trying to help out. I think this is a pretty big, you know, undertaking for you guys to do alone, for us to do alone, for anybody to do alone. So, you know, the fact that you guys can now focus on, you know, team-centric stuff, we can kind of help out and pitch in from, you know, community, production type of stuff. And personally, I don't want to spill the beans too much. I think you guys are going to be thoroughly impressed. You guys are going to have a good time. And hopefully for you and Boss Man, you guys can just kind of show up, you know, do your front-end thing, you know, for the show. And, you know, we can all have a good race, right? So I think that's what it's all about.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited.
I need to prep you, Mo, on the art of under promising and over delivering. All right, let's keep expectations low.
Yeah. So for anybody that's watching right now, anybody just tuning in, it's going to be okay. We hope that you may enjoy the virtual Kentucky Derby, second virtual Kentucky Derby. Who's going to get a red name? You know, we'll talk a little bit. It'll be fun. It'll be a great time, a good time rather.
No, you know why I can't undersell it is because putting things together, and again, you know, looking back at where we've come from, thinking about Ian's story, and, you know, remembering my first time meeting Fib and meeting Ian, where they're like, who the hell is this guy? You know, when I start to think about that, I get goosebumps, and I can't undersell things when I'm sitting here producing it, getting actual chills. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a very emotional person. You know, I like to freak out and get crazy, but I'm not a very emotional person. But when I start to, like, you know, reflect on things, and man, you guys are gonna want to show up, because this is gonna be good. It's gonna be a good time. So if that's the best I can undersell it, Peep. I'm sorry, man. That's the best I can.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm similar. I'm borderline sociopathic when it comes to emotion and empathy, so I don't feel it either. But seeing some of the stuff come to life that we've put together, yeah, I got one or two goosebumps on a couple of the bits. That's as much of a preview as I'll give.
Oh yeah, but like I said,
Well,
it's it's about showcasing the horses, showcasing the
ice
races.
cold demeanor. Yeah, you can tell that it's going to be a total banger. So everybody better tune in. I mean, I'm sure everybody here. I'm sure, unless there's a time constraint, at least everybody here is going to tune in. I think it'll be just it's just a step in like the right direction, and just baseline. It is good to think about like what is going on here is pretty crazy. It's like it's like what we're doing is in my opinion, like pretty frontier stuff, for Web3, but for, just for like horse racing games and all this stuff, like a community led horse racing game that's partnered with the Kentucky Derby. I mean, it's a huge deal. So, production value, no production value, like you're still seeing this emergent historical thing occurring in games, in games and finance and crypto and all this, like just the strange future we live in, and we're at the edge of it. So tune in at least for that, at the very least.
Hell yeah! I mean, we got some. I've been looking through the field, obviously, trying to put some things together, and I'm like, man, often I call races and I don't really pay attention. I don't really know sometimes who the hell is running left, who's running right, who's on turf, they all sometimes are just running to me and their names, and I'm calling them off the screen, right? So, I mean, some of these horses, though, right? I mean, Pelnor Fields, right? Rocco Cashel, we just saw these guys run. I mean, this is quite the who's who of photo finish. Right? Got Elvis up here again. I mean, this top 20. Who can I pull up here, Peeb? That's a good. I mean, I could go right to Pelnor Fields at the top, but anybody in particular we should take a look at, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I've got 3 picks, I think, who are going to make the podium. I think they might be one of the more predictable ones. Famous last words, but I think this could be one of the more predictable virtual Kentucky Derbies that we'll see. I don't think it'll be as predictable in any future seasons, other than maybe next season, depending on what the landscape looks like. I think Pelnor Fields is going to take it. I can't see beyond Pelnor Fields. And then it's a shootout in second place for Apollo and Swift Sapphire for me. Talk Derby to me had a good run in the last race, so I think he'll probably go well again. We're obviously expecting fast or good ground with the 0% forecast, 0% rain forecast. So I think a lot of the soft horses are possibly out of it, although it would take a fool to fade Elvis from making it the twofer. So yeah, I think that's my top 3. If there's a surprise with the weather and it goes to yielding, then all of a sudden Rock of Cashel, Elvis, Loggerhead all come into play. And it's going to be fascinating to see some of the left turf horses. We just saw Zach in the race before. If he qualifies, I'm pretty sure Zach went and won the LTS Derby, did he? I'm pretty sure he was a winner of that. So it'd be fascinating to see if he can go and win off preference. But yeah, a good lineup.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to some of these guys again. Like I said, I look at some of these charts and man, I hate to make it about me sometimes, but I'm warning all of you guys up here in LDS, LDF, you better watch out for a boy named Sue. Because when I get that horse to an S grade, y'all are in trouble. I'm just warning everybody up here. I'm warning Pelnor Fields. I'm throwing out warning shots to Elvis, all right? Okay, so remember, I don't get emotional, Peeb. I just said that, and Fib, so not emotional. I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah, you're always emotional, but
seriously,
you're in a constant state of emotional overflow.
I'm an emotional bubble. But no, seriously, watching horses like
what
this are crazy, all these times.
Peeb, do you have any thoughts on this? Like so JPEG Lord Stables has just a couple of like super banger horses. Zach, Mundo, right? That's the other one. Maybe there's another one that I'm forgetting too, but like, what is it about these horses that are just like, they're not even like that high match. They're just like bred with like the one of one, PFPs, and they just seem to be like just like exceptional. Like, did they just get good rolls? Like, what do you think he targeted in these purchases for like these Gen Zeros?
So he bred them. So JPEG Lords really is. I've got actually quite an interesting backstory on him. Just before we go into that, for JJ in the chat saying, I didn't realize this, but Zach also won the RTS Derby as well as the LTS Derby. And
What
so
is this horse, dude?
Yeah, so if he goes and wins the LD, the Kentucky Derby on Saturday, obviously David made a pledge on Twitter right at the start of this season that he would. I can't remember what the pledge is, but I think it might be
Eat a
quite a
shoe?
high value. Yeah, no, I think it's the if any horse can go and win three crescendo races over 3 different archetypes this season, I think it's quite a high value NFT, maybe a Mad Lad or a
Wow.
Venusaur or something. So
he's challenging. I saw your post today. You know, if anybody's in the disc, I mean, I assume most of you are in the Discord. If you've seen Peeb's the funeral procession for preferences, I mean, what is this? What does it all mean? Like, I can't comment on the mechanics there at all. But I just, you know, it's an interesting idea that a horse could, you know, get like the equivalent of a tennis Grand Slam in our game just by being a beastly horse. It's very interesting. I'm not sure if it's what anybody would have expected, personally. So.
That was all fairly tongue in cheek, although preferences are definitely dead. So, R.I.P. preferences.
Yeah, right.
But JPEG Lord's a really interesting one. So, I hit him up on Twitter literally 2 days before breeding ended because back then I did a load of research and a load of Sherlocking to find those high value fillies that hadn't been bred right at the end of it, so I could see if we can buy 1 or 2 of them. And he had a wallet full. He had literally 3 or 4 top 100 fillies. So I hit him up on Twitter, and he claimed to me that he knew that breeding was finishing in 2 days' time. I don't believe him, but fair enough. And then he did use mainly 9924 and 9925, the ticket window, and at the races to go and breed those high rarity fillies with.
Okay.
Yeah, so he got one of the only, if not the only, high rarity LTS filly out of 9924, 925. One of them basically didn't produce a filly.
Looking at Mundo right now. Okay.
But he got one of the only ones, so he's got almost a unique filly in there, and he's just got some absolute fire as you can see from the rest of his stable. He's got some serious firepower in that stable, and they just some of the highest rarest fillies made some of the best horses, I think. Let me have a look at his stable as well.
For some reason, the horses aren't coming up for me right now. It seems like there's like great time.
But yeah, that stable is managed, I believe, by Ghost. I think he's actively racing on behalf of JPEG Lord. Yeah,
I didn't know that. Okay, wow, that's a pretty frightening duo, huh?
Yeah. So there you go. Now you can go off and nerf it.
Yeah. So we'll make sure that they can't get their foothold for all of their skill and effort. And let's see.
So,
okay. Yeah. Who is this filly that you're talking about? Are you talking about Warwick?
Maybe a Moo Moo looks like a pretty strong one. Warwick. We in Britain would say Warwick. There's a place called Warwick.
Yeah, I'm just used to. They're all names from League of Legends, like the video game. So it's like I'm used to saying Warwick.
So that was a non 1-of-1 breed, but really high fine filly. So ranked 25 filly, but didn't go with one of the fabled 1-of-1s. But yeah, I think a Moo Moo is the one I'm thinking of. So that is 9925 stud.
Warwick actually has like pretty well matched.
Yeah. Those horses are very few and far between. Has it got temper? Yeah, two temper S horse.
Yes.
Rank
impressive.
32 with rank 20. Yeah, that is one of the. That's got to be one of the rarest.
Maybe on top of it, I mean, yeah, definitely. You know who baffles me is Mundo. I mean, I see Mundo crushing, and he's got. I think he's what is he a 0? He must be a 0 match, and he just maybe just got a sick roll or something. Like he's just a powerhouse horse.
Yeah, another quite strange horse. I think he finished maybe first or second in one of the RT derbies. He's only got 6 wins out of 41 races, but he does seem to place more often than not, and he does seem to turn up for the biggest races. Mundo is obviously one on behalf of JPEG Lord, Ghost accidentally listed him on the marketplace instead of on the breeding barn, and I happened to be
That's the one
up and
you
awake.
snagged, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the one we. That's the
Oh,
one
I
we
remember
forced
seeing
you.
that for 40K.
So Mundo's the one that we forced you guys to go back, like do like the risky transaction for to get him back, right? Is that because we couldn't we didn't transfer him?
Yeah, so look, I never ever click on marketplace, or I never used to at that point. I wasn't like there was no bred horses or anything. We weren't in the market for new horses, so there wasn't really any reason for me to click on it. I don't know why I'd clicked on it. I think we just sold out on Lord Strange, and I had money burning a hole in my pocket. So I think I just went to have a look at the marketplace, and it was just there in front of me. It was stupid o'clock in the morning for me. It was like 3 in the morning, and I was like, that can't be right. I don't think I knew that Ghost was running JPEG Lord at that point. So in my tired state, I was just like, that must be too cheap. So instantly bought it, and then thought about it for a minute. I was like, that's a fumble. He's tried to list that on the breeding barn for that price.
That's
so, yeah.
I mean, that's really cool. It's cool that you. I don't know. I like that you guys are like looking out for each other in that regard. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, you wouldn't get that in most communities, I would say, and given how small we still are, or how tight knit the community is.
Yeah, trying to keep it. It's like, yeah, we can't like completely unfurl our hostilities yet. We have to remain bound together to reach escape velocity, right? And then we can. Then it can all degenerate like some Scorsese film where we all meet our different downfalls at the the cost for our vice, and we learn our lesson too late.
Yeah. Having said that,
Yeah, I got a shovel.
Yeah, I wish I kept it. I wish it was more of a PRICK, but there you go.
Yeah, if you're just so ruthless, yeah. Yeah, I guess maybe you're nicer than you think, Peep. You're nicer than you think. Mo's more emotional than he thinks,
Sure. Heart on my sleeve, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean,
think
it's good karma, though. Even though you kicked my ass for Henrietta, it's good karma.
What we got? What race we got coming up?
We got the third time Thursday stakes coming up.
Stakes, nice. Yeah, I guess people filled these today.
Yeah, much appreciated. That's why I was like, well, these races are still between 4 and 5, and they actually were kind of filled up.
I mean, yeah.
Hate to move them.
Built out.
Like, let's just do it at 4.
Of course, David's HHR anyway is always helping us out with these.
You don't see many B restricted races these days. That's an interesting one.
It is.
Oh wait, I didn't even know these were a thing. What the hell? Wait.
It's a good prize pot as well. Good entry level, good prize pot. This is a potentially a big pot for a B to win tonight.
It is. It's interesting. It's like there is like this interesting balance with. I've been thinking a lot about fee structuring, obviously, because I actually have changed the fee structure of claimers going into season 5, to make them make a little bit more sense. And like, we got the feedback about the entry fees being too low. They were just a flat 1/40th of the claiming price across the board. But thinking about how, because at first, I mean, the idea of like having like frequencies of price points within a race archetype, within an actual race type, and then subdivided by the archetype. It's like there's so many divisions there to change to having like like a high price point B restricted stakes, or like maybe a lower one, or maybe a lower B or whatever, and it ends up being that like I don't know, it is kind of fun to have one that's high stakes every so often. So here we go.
Oh yeah. All right, down to the track.
And they're up and running here in the third time Thursday restricted stakes. Inbred S breaks best of it from in between horses, and comes Taramis on the outside with Don't Geld Me. In fourth is Young Lady running in front of Big Lips down at the rail, and Axel in sixth here early on as they head around the opening turn. And it's 8 furlong, left turn in the fair in the dirt. Track is soft. It's a bunch of beautiful bees out there. Wish I would have known about this race. I could be out here with you. But in the meantime, I'm just calling the race as Big Lips sneaks down the rail and takes the lead. Inbred S on the outside didn't like that too much and instantly challenges back for the lead and yoinks it. Inbred S now up top, half a length. Big Lips, these two continue to trek off in the slop. Axel from back now moving to third, followed by Zuzu. Zuzu's in a full bore here down the center of the track. Early going, half mile and 50 and change. Hold some energy, little fella. They're all chasing Inbred S. Inbred S continues to dominate here in the pouring rain. 3-length lead over Axel. Zuzu there in third, followed by Big Lips. Big Lips trying to find some room there back on the rail, but might have been chopped off here by Axel. Axel says, no, you don't. Inbred, though, Inbred, in the meantime, still continues to show the way, 3/4 and 115. Inbred up top, Zuzu now tries to challenge here with one final move, but it's Inbred continues to hold sway. 200 meters to go. It's Inbred up top and Zuzu. Insert coin. Here comes new challenger down the center of the track. It's Tyrannus, but it's going to be too little too late as Inbred S is going to hold off the slew of competition. It's going to be Inbred S over Zuzu and Tyrannus.
Inbred S, fantastic name. You know, the odds are good, but the goods are odd, baby.
Yes, sir. Shout out to DJ and Brody and chat. What up, brother? He said my favorite skeleton. Poker players hanging. What up to Lacey? F Dogs here. Damn, Purple Jesus Juice. Soul Guy. Damn, everyone's hanging out.
Everyone's
What a
in
race.
the whole world.
Yabo, BK. Yeah, RVA's here.
We got F Dog on the
Sweet
case.
Tropical Gypsy. Nice.
Cool.
F Dog was the case that they gave me. I like B races, man. So I'd be amiss if I didn't go over my weekly, syndicate segment.
Yes.
Yeah, syndicates are happy. Things are looking good. They do agree. Claimer prices probably too low. We can boost them up a little bit. But
I think
yeah,
they're at a
overall,
good. Yeah, I think they're going to be in a good place next season. I really like where they ended up at next season. You know, of course, I want feedback from everybody about them. They seem to be running anyway,
Yeah.
but they would make a lot more sense with higher entry fees, and they would be more worth the squeeze to race, rather than just sort of like a marketplace, sort of like a marketplace with a lower ROI than appropriate. So hopefully, the goal is to
makes sense.
inspire more claimer race volume. So it's like to hit that price point where it's like it's not cost prohibitive to maintain the circuit while also, kind of like inspire, like keeping the carrot in the right spot there for people to chase them. It's always a balance, man. The schedule. I do feel like it's getting better though. I don't know, Pete, what do you think about the baseline schedule now, sans stakes?
It's an awful time for me to comment on it because we've only got one
No,
horse
yeah,
racing.
you're just not
so
racing, yeah.
we've got one of our original stable, and we are playing the Claimants game. Look, the Claimants game, I think, is so fun. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's my dream as a frigging accountant and someone who thinks that I can value horses as well as anyone in this game, because that is the entire game. You're basically competing to see who values the horse in the right way. Like, there's a sweet spot where you want to get it into a race where it's basically just at the tip of that valuation, so you've got the best chance of winning the race. But if you want to keep the horse, then it doesn't get claimed. And then if you want to get rid of the horse, then stick it in a race where it's just over the valuation. The dynamic is absolutely brilliant. I do think it's only going to grow and grow. I would like to see. I do think, and I think you know this, Fib. I think the proportion of entry fees to the claiming amount is probably a little light at the minute. But apart from that, like I think it's going to be the making of this game. I think it's going to be the staple of the game for a long time.
I also think it has so much potential. It's so interesting, and it unlocks, like, just based on the different price points, which I think that's going to be maybe like my next big tuning pass is like the actual claiming prices themselves and how they kind of work out. There's always an element with the schedule where it's like you set it and then people adapt to it, right? So there's always that element, but it could maybe itself be dialed. Maybe there could be more options, et cetera, et cetera. But like, I also think that it's so good for it really opens up like the bottom of the grades, and like that's so many horses occupy that space. It's like giving, like, for instance, like I just remember Twitter Spaces where Soulmate was just like, where do I race my low boost S's? Like, please give me somewhere. It's like, here, man, you're gonna race. You can race them in. You can race them in these high stakes claimers that I'm gonna be dropping on you next season. That hopefully ideally adapt to the price point of that kind of horse, which is a low grade S, and make it a fun, worthwhile way to engage with that horse. You want to, or you can breed it, of course. There's always that, but
yeah. Doughboy, shout out to Doughboy in chat, by the way. He said claim prices are fine. $1.50 entry is cheeks, and that's kind of what I agree with. And I think that's something on your end, Fib, that you probably have to be aware of, right? Is that, it's going to be dynamic because whatever you decide to bring the entry fees up to, let's say from $1.50 to $2.50, $2.75, right? You're now creating the floor of what these horses are going to run for. So then if you go and increase the claiming price of said, entry fee down to $2.75, you're basically just going to keep creating these same gaps because it's going to be dynamic of whatever we're entering the race for. You know what I mean? So
I
I
mean, there's
definitely agree with
two
Doughboy here.
targets. There's two targets. Like there's, it's like Peeb mentioned. It's like you're playing you're doing a horse valuation game to some extent, but you're all in the meanwhile you're also still doing like a race entry game, just like the base game where you're just trying. You want ROI currently the ROI from winning these races is way too low across the board, really. Like even what like for all of the claimers, but in the future, like, or next season, the way that these are tuned, like at least the racing out, like first of all, the racing itself will have more of a potential ROI. Second of all, like the actual claiming fees themselves with a higher race entry fee won't be net negative for the most part. Depending on how many, I had to balance it to a certain amount of entrants because obviously it slides, it's a moving target, but we've found like average entrants and like based on populations, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like it's kind of tuned that way as well. But I actually think the claimer prices are low across the board. I think it's like just the wrong proportion. We just kind of used that as like we had it was something like we talked about with the czars a little bit, and it just came to 1/40th of the claim price is like the appropriate entry fee, and I just ran that equation across the spreadsheet, and I didn't even think about the fact that that was $1.50. But that is a bad. I think the real danger of a $1.50 race entry is just that it's a bad baseline for the entire game. Like there shouldn't be anything that's $1.50 to enter, essentially. So
No, absolutely not.
getting away from that is good too. But we're gonna be tuning it and tweaking it. I like to say it was like the first pass, and they do seem to be successful in the sense that they're running, like the running volume of claimers is actually pretty good, and they seem to have nice coverage as they were designed to have, with like some exceptions due to population concerns. So overall, happy. Needs tuning.
Yeah, no, like I said, I love seeing them. I know the community's been loving them as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at
and like
real
I said,
quick. I'm looking at what VJJ is saying. He's saying the issue is the 5% fee. So to offset the 5% fee, entry fees can be high enough such that I mean, you could totally remove the 5% fee. That's true. That's another conversation. But like, given the 5% fee stays, raising entry fees so that a reasonably decent horse performance, pretty much across all claiming prices, gives you money so that there isn't the friction of actually claiming a horse and then entering that same horse in the same claimer the next week and losing money because of it. Essentially, we want to keep the wheel spinning. So I think like just going so far as to do that. I mean, we'll see what everybody thinks of the prices when they come through. Again, it'll happen in season 5. Open to, we can tune it mid-season. It's not, nothing. It doesn't have to be set in stone. But let's just see what we arrive at there. I think that it's going to be a positive.
And maiden claimers within the 10 seconds before the race starts. Maiden claimers coming. Bib.
Say what?
Are maiden claimers coming?
Oh, maiden claimers. I mean, we have the capacity for maiden claimers.
Polls...
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we have the capacity for maiden claimers. We have the capacity for optional claimers. We have the capacity for different types of allowances, starters, stuff like that. We're rolling things out, kind of like one at a time, getting everything in place. Base schedule is starting to look good though, so I would not be surprised if we start messing with some new race types in not too long. But I don't want to give an exact time frame on that because I don't know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Like I said, just leave my 600s, 700s alone.
And the horses are in the gate, and they're off and running. Here in third time, Thursday Stakes, grade 3 action. Chopsticks breaks best of it, then comes Law, Slingshot, and Country Legend. Baja runs along here in fourth with Leo Man down at the rail. Not quite sure if I said that one right, but here we are, chat. Chopsticks, new leader, Country Legend, challenge on the outside. That's Big Brain, Stable Runner. As this field quickly heads around this turn in this 4 furlong affair, opening quarter in 22 and change, and its country legend says, "Come and get me." And it's country legend now who opens up by 2. Leomon's down at the rail, Bauhaus in full bore down the center of the track, but might have called it a day. Country legend though, country legend by 2.5. Leomon with one final surge, and here comes Chopsticks, but Chopsticks not going to have it today. It's going to be all country legend over Leomon and Chopsticks.
All right. I like quick races like that.
Little sprint. Nice little sprint. Better than a hamster race.
Yeah, I think there's some low hanging
God,
fruit with claimers. I think just in terms of those marginal gains, I think there's some low hanging stuff. I would like to see not a fixed proportion of entry fee to claimer amount, like in real life racing. There's random there's fully random races in the UK and in various parts of the UK which owners go and target because they know that some of the purses are out of kilter with what you'd expect for that race. So I'd like to see.
But are they juiced, or how's the purse constituted in that case? How does that work?
Well, like all real horse racing is constituted by the wagering, but the track as well, like the track
subsidize
set it. I think some of it is from the previous season's wagering. So if there was a particular like flurry of bets in the previous season, I think that rolls on into the next season. So I would, if you can vary that proportion, it just makes race selection a bit more interesting and a bit more of a challenge. I think these are all marginal gains and like evolutionary gains, I would say.
So
rather than,
I agree with you. I mean, that was kind of the not great, not well articulated point I was trying to make earlier before the handicap. I believe it was like basically like, yeah, you're right. Like randomly like a higher stakes race that's the same type of race that it's like just a higher entry fee point does make the race like more. It's a different user subset. It's a different self-selection. It's like, oh, I believe, I'm essentially like I'm more convicted or I'm more willing to bet in the for a higher payout, which is cool. Like in the meantime, like what like my I used to like my previous job was in chemistry. It's like I want to keep it even, like the price point, even though it's not necessarily realistic, and it's not even necessarily realistic to the way our game works, because there's varying price points and there's ranges. Keeping it exactly at even at least shows us what the baseline action is at the current tuning, and then adding more subdivision or adding more variance after that is definitely something to mess with as well, and then we can at least compare those two things. It's like trying to change like focus on one big change at a time, kind of. Knowing that we do want to get it like dialed in kind of faster too, and you can kind of feel it out too. You don't have to be like completely scientific method about it, obviously, but
and then obviously, I mean, with the next season, or actually the ability for our new foals to start racing in 5 weeks now, 4 or 5 weeks. It would be nice to see maiden claimers available straight off the bat. I think some horses will instantly stick themselves in maiden claimers, or some stable owners will stick their horses straight in. Just because of how successful. Oh, I'm not looking easy, Skeletor. I think because of how successful claimers have been, and the fact that they're liquid, right? I mean, it's a way to easily sell a horse or potentially move a horse on that you might want to move on, or you think someone would overvalue compared to you. I think it'd be a good dynamic to have maiden claimers available from the get-go of the new foals arriving.
Okay. We'll consider this. We'll consider this info. I really do appreciate having like conversation like this. It's interesting to hear what you guys have to say on that subject, as as players spending so much time. So that kind of input is interesting to me, and I will bring that up with Richie, with Ian, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, to me, claimers are almost an unbridled success, a complete success. And I honestly, I didn't think they'd be this successful at Gen 0. I thought the dynamic was cool, but at Gen 0, I thought people would be so they'd have such sentimental attachment to their horses that they wouldn't want to chuck them in races where they could potentially lose them. I've been surprised at how popular they've been and how willing everyone is to chuck horses around and have them move around the stables. It's been a breath of fresh air, and I think it's only going to get better in Gen 1.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it'll definitely be, there'll be so much more liquid in a way. The horse, more horse liquid, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely. Yeah, well, yeah. I think it is pretty exciting to have those running as much as they are. Very satisfying to see, and hopefully dialing them in makes them run even more. Hopefully people understand them. You know, that's another thing. It's like I think maybe not everybody understands how, like, the appropriate way to run claimers or something. Like maybe, you know, it takes a little bit of time to set in for people, but it does seem to be taking.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't had a first giant fumble in the claimers yet, have we? Maybe
No,
one.
well, maybe it's because Ian set, like, you know, 3-4 clicks that you have to do. That's like, are you really actually certain about being sure that you want to do this?
Yeah, you know what? I think there was one fumble, and that was the reason why. Why
That's a lot of
all
clicks.
of those? Yeah,
that's a lot of clicks to fumble that.
It's safeguards, all right. It's not loads of clicks. It's just safeguards. Yeah, I mean have I come close to? I don't think I've come close to sticking in one of our like high value horses in a claimer, but I can imagine it like.
There's not a claiming price point that makes sense for a high value horse, really. Unless like even an A+, I think it's like kind of like higher than 100K Derby, possibly. So.
Yeah.
But those are coming. And actually, the way that we've organized some of the higher stakes claimers, I've discussed it a little bit with some community members. I think including you, Peeb, too, just to get like a little bit of an idea of what you think about it. And it's like the idea that like there would just be specific nights for certain claimer price points that are high, because it doesn't seem like something that would. I mean, and it could be we could be wrong in that assumption, but starting slow and being like there is like a high stakes claimer on this night at this time. Gives it the best chance to fill, gets the most eyes on it, and potentially gets the most wagering volume. You know, that's something that obviously we're trying to drum up more, and that just increases the purse, makes the ROI for entering them better, and hopefully sort of like flywheels into more of a success with high stakes claimers. Operating under the principle that people aren't willing to drop, you know, $1.5 to $3,500 every night, kind of. Maybe once a week is more appropriate for that, and we can build out from there. But I mean, I'm really curious to see how people handle higher stakes claimers, and I think that they'll be so exciting too. See somebody just drive, you know, seeing like one of those horses move is like kind of a big deal. So everybody always gets excited in the Discord. I imagine it would be more excitement watching it happen live, kind of. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's no obligation for anyone to buy those claimers, right? Like, all you need is some willing participants who are going to stick the race entry in. Like, it'd be probably a surprise or a shock unless a serious gun went into that race that someone went and claimed for like 250K or whatever the value is going to be. But look, right. I mean, I think there's probably an opportunity for entry fees to be increased across the board, not just in claimers. I'd like to see. I mean, what's the top amount that we're paying now for a grade 1? No more than $100 max. I think like maybe not regularly, but I think once a week, I think you'd fill a race or you'd get traction on a race where there's a $250 buy-in, I reckon.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, a lot of stakes tuning. I mean, raising the stake. I mean, because that's another thing is that high stakes claimers, the way that they make sense, and that's along the same lines, is that they kind of have to have high entries, and scaling some graded entries to be at least on par with these high stakes claimers. I mean, graded should be the highest, you know, the highest stakes races in the game. So just some more tuning to do there.
Yes,
but yeah, we got some rolling, Mo. Let's go.
Yeah, we got a major coming. I was letting y'all educate the crowd here.
Rock and roll, man.
And they're up and rolling here in the third time Thursday Cup. Radagon breaks well from inside with Dwayne. Ocean Fireworks there in third, runs in front of Night Saturn and Maokai. Gonna round out the top leaderboard here in fifth as they head out to shooting onto the main track in the 6 furlong right turning affair in the dirt. Track is yielding in this grade 2 affair. Up top, early going, that's La Jolla, I'm going to get that right. 1 week shot, I apologize. It's La Jolla Farms runner Dwayne, and his Ocean Fireworks trots along in second. Nice Saturn pushes along here in third. Malkai finally got out the back of the pack and moves up in fourth. And Radagon's your new trailer. Off the turn, here we go. This is when they make their money, folks. Dwayne up top, now being challenged here on the outside. Ocean Fireworks pulls up alongside, but Dwayne repels the challenge. Dwayne now kicks clear by 3. I feel like he was offended by the challenge. But Dwayne now up top, 3.5. Down the center of the track, it's Night Saturn and Radagon's in full-born as well. But Dwayne up top, don't stop. 200 meters, 100 meters to go even. Dwayne by 2.5. No one else is going to catch him. It's battling for second. It's going to be Dwayne over Night Saturn and Radagon.
And for the record, that's what MJ's horsepower comparison tool picked. So nice job, MJ.
It's getting too good,
Beautiful
too
tool.
powerful.
Too powerful. But just like real handicapping, it's kind of like, how do you use it? You know what I mean? What
Well,
angle
yeah,
do
it's
you
just
take
it's
type
just
of deal, and that's,
it's layers, man. Yeah, that's the beauty of parimutuel, right?
you know, you can fine tune things. You can go in and, you know, start messing with things. It's
Yeah, and what people do changes your ROI. You know, it's like changes your assessment actively. It's actually pretty kind of a wild thing to consider. I think it's probably hard for a lot of people to stay abreast of, truly, but you know, you take what you take, I guess.
would agree. Shout out to MJ, man. Like I said, this is cool, and then obviously, Gap Data Tool. This is remarkable when it comes to like rankings and, you know, just trying to get like an overall view. But yeah, like I said, MJ stuff, I really love that whole build your own race card, almost like a handicapping past performance type of deal on the fly. So definitely use them both. But yeah, all right. We have any other races coming up here for the night?
I think that's all for now. I mean, we got the Opera Allowance coming up, but
I just want to make sure we didn't have any more third time. We got a Derby coming up.
I guess people know their weights on these allowances, or think they do. So this S minus max has only, oh no, it's got 1 A minus in there.
Who do you guys think is going to win?
Yeah,
the,
I see these.
the
virtual
Derby on
Kentucky Derby?
Saturday? Yeah, have you got a pick?
I have not had time. Like, I don't want to casually make a call on that. I'd like to actually dig in. But I mean, I would like to see. I don't know. First of all, I think I'd like to see another stable win it. No offense to Soulmate. I just want more red names. I just want more of the glory spread around. But I mean, Pellinor. Didn't you have Pellinor last time, Peeb? Didn't you think Pellinor was going to take it last time too?
Yeah, I always pick Pellinor. And it came second last time, I think, so not far off. I think even before we started.
Yeah, I think Pellinor is
live.
probably. It seems like a safe pick. I mean, I would like that's like what my brain wants to pick, but not necessarily my heart. I think.
Yeah, it's a good point. VJJ makes a good point in the chat. What if Absolute Horsepower go and win? Sten's isn't even in Discord to receive his red name.
I'd like it. I always root for Stens, man. I think it's a shame how it turned out, but he's a good player, so you just gotta respect the game on some level, right? Respect the gangster.
Yeah, he knows his shit. Hopefully there's a route back at some point.
I like it for the narrative too. You know, it's just juicy, man. So you know, if he can take it, good for him. It's there. It's there. You can take it.
Oh yeah. What I could take is I just took the potential field coming up here on Saturday, threw them into MJ's tool. You can just copy and paste whatever the hell you want. It'll ignore all the other crap like the numbers and things that don't make sense, like the stable names, and it'll just give you the horses. So,
what's that tool doing, Mo? Talk me through it.
So basically, I'm copying the entire field into the box, and then from here, you're basically going to get your slider up top where you can narrow down the distances. So we know the Derby's going to be 10 furlongs. So I'm going to narrow it down to 10 furlongs only. And then from here, you could just sort it by like competition level. It'll tell you like, you know, is the horse typically running against better competition, lower competition? Kind of gives you a breakdown of the ratings and how they work here. But yeah, and again, this is. I don't want to tell people how to use the tool because again, like you might look at this differently than I do. But essentially, I'm just trying to look at things that I might think are, applicable in the race coming up. So maybe I want to focus on, late close. Maybe it's, position, average, and 10 furlongs. You can sort by whatever you want, and everything will update real time. So
who's
he
it
did
got?
an
Who's
amazing
it got
job with
taking
this.
it? Does it have Rock of Cashel taking it? Is that how it's set up?
Let's see. We go left dirt firm only.
I haven't spent any time looking at this tool, but I love the thought of a competition factor. I mean, I assume that's telling you what relative competition has been racing against, considering the current meta and the farming races and so on and so forth. That is a really interesting concept.
Yeah, like I said, MJ, he was just kind of hanging out one day, and he was like, so this is kind of what you want? And then we just kind of went back and forth for like an hour, and this dude was like, oh, I got you. And 10 seconds later, all right, try it now. All right, it's like a mechanic fixing your car. He's like, all right, try it now. And I was like, holy crap, this is amazing.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I mean, if you want to bet our game, probably get familiar with this site. Just saying. Definitely a good place to start.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah, it looks like it has Charlie taking this one.
Charlie, I think Charlie's an LTS horse, though, isn't it? Which, you know what, I mean, if you'd have asked me a month ago, could an LTS horse take the LDF Derby, I'd have said you were mad, but I actually think there has more chance than you think these days.
So on the left here, actually, you guys don't actually see sorry, it's cropped. But on the left side here, I'm actually filtering, so I only have left dirt firm selected right now. So it's only going to show races in here for left dirt firm. So if it's showing Charlie in here, then that means he had actually run that at least at some point. You know what I mean, for that type of race. Actually, it did, yeah. So I'll tell you, one race he ran. Looks like he ran against Better Comp because the number going up. I always get this confused, but yeah. So 0.084 looks like it was like the Better Comp.
You'd imagine that would be his qualifier.
Oh, it might have been a qualifier. Yeah, correct. Yeah, if that was the only race he's got under it. Yep, that would make sense. Yeah. So I mean, it looks like he came out, was in third, fourth, and then third, made a little bit of a move. I mean, Fleet Figure was, decent, I guess. That's what I'm saying. There's really no right or wrong with this tool. I mean, Apollo has the highest Fleet Figure, if you want to look at that. Pelennor Field's right behind him. So, I mean, you could also look at profit. I mean, real horse racing, I tend to look at profit on horses a lot, but in, photo finish, knowing how I run my horses just to spend, $8-10 and watch them run in circles, I don't necessarily like to use that.
You know what I want to know?
Finish, but
I want to know, like, I know the people are like have their own spreadsheets and their own data analysis that they do on our game, and people are building out tools like this, and that's really cool. What I want to know is, like, how many of you are profiling other stables, looking for the ways that they choose to enter races and taking notes on them? Like, is that like something that all of you guys are doing basically at the top, or like, how's that working? I feel like that's something
100%.
I feel like Mike Sowers is totally doing that. I would just guess. Like, what do you think? What do you do? Do you do that, Peeb, at all?
I think you'd probably be shocked at how little we're doing absolutely nothing in this space. Like, I see a race that I think our horse can compete out, and I enter it. Honestly, there's no science going into it right now.
Personal,
we haven't got
just a one-player game against other players.
Yeah. We're not doing anything data driven. We're not doing anything. It's all about look and feel. I'll have a look at obviously the on-site data. I'll have a look at the charts. I'll try and glean what I think distance pref is. But no, we're not doing anything right now. I do think that become more and more and more important going into Gen 1s. I think you'll eventually get left behind if you don't develop or rely on tools like that.
I mean, my first thought when I look at this website is, like, if you run different sorts on these horses, that are like of an archetype or of like some demographic, and then you see like what these results are. For instance, if they're like Fleet Figures based, if they're position based, whatever, like, ultimately what really matters is, like the actual like placement, right? But like, you look at these numbers and it's like, so you start to see, you know, for instance, like Stens has the highest fleet figures. Like, can I infer that he's racing his horses, like doing his analytics based off that? You know, like, is that something that you could do? And then, like, how could that change the way that I enter races against him? For instance, that's like something, if I was able to play, I would potentially explore that. And I wonder if people are going that route. I wonder if that even makes sense, but I think that it probably does. And you know, so just some dragon to chase, but potentially fruitful counterplay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the flip side of that is that you then go and rely on a metric that actually isn't telling you all that much, but you're finding patterns within that, so you're making almost wrong
It's
decisions.
just one more thing. Yeah, just one more thing. One more thing to tip the scale. Like, you can't make a decision based off any one thing, I imagine, when it comes to this data.
Yeah,
No,
it's
but
a tough one.
Well, that's the beauty of theory crafting, right? I mean, that's what makes photo finish, you know, amazing in my opinion, right? Like there is no rhyme or reason. I mean, Pete, I think you were on. Weren't you on with Doughboy with Stens the other night? Well, I was going back and forth with you guys for a while in chat, or whoever was on the panel. Because like I'm like a building the base, feeling like I build the foundation, strong house, right? Go up slow over time. I know some people are thinking jump big gaps and seeing how that works out. I'm trying that a little bit. You know, I think things like that, you know, depending on what you really think is going to be the, you know, the best way to play the core of the game moving forward. But I don't know if there's ever going to be a rhyme or reason, because you might get that lucky horse that just pops off too, right, from a breed, you know? But I rely on these guys like Peeb and, you know, everybody else to kind of like, not give me my answers, but just to kind of like, you know, bounce them in from, you know, bounce some ideas off of. And
yeah, I wouldn't rely on me to give you answers on that. My theories change on that day to day, honestly. Like one day I'll think,
yeah. That sounds healthy in its own way. Like, in a way, like having some balance between like having a dynamic perspective and also like some sort of fixed philosophy, I imagine is probably the way to proceed when you're, like you said, it's like you could easily be chasing ghosts when you look at data. It's just how it is. But
yeah, I mean, if you take Gen 1 bred horses, you can have an A that's bred from an S sire and a B minus mare, and you can have one that's bred from 2A sires and mares. Which one's better? I've genuinely flitted from both sides of that spectrum. Like, do I think that you could take 4 of those A horses and breed them all into like a Gen 3 or whatever you want to call it, and then it picks up all of the S genes out of those horses? Sounds like it's plausible. Like, it sounds like you could create a monster like that. Do I also think that you're best slow breeding upwards? Again, I mean, I've played HRM. I know that worked. So yeah, I kind of think there's merit in both theories. And you're right, Mo. Like, no one knows, so we're all guessing.
And you could have different sort of like, you know, specimen bloodlines that you're testing these theories on too. You know what I mean? You can test to, depending on how many horses you have, and like, you know, accounting again for variance or whatever. You could kind of try different things within the same stable, depending on how you feel, or not, or you could go uniform across an entire stable, and you know, a lot of ways to play it.
Well, that's what Doughboy just said. Yeah, Doughboy just said, he's like, yeah, you know, building the bloodline, it's the way, right? Like I guess like in real horse racing, they try to get these, you know, heavy or healthy bloodlines rather. But then he said, I also don't mind going to, you know, right to the best available and trying to spike it, right? I mean, I think that's a play too.
Play, man. It's an X-axis play. I think people don't think about it that way enough, maybe, or, you know, a lot of people don't. In so many things, really, I feel like we don't, as humans, account for time. But like the X-axis play is the idea that you're setting yourself up for later generations. You're setting yourself up for later generations. Like, what do you eschew now for later? What do you anticipate later? You know, it's just a different bet, different way to play, and it's another dimension, man.
Yeah, and going back to the data point around what data people are using to make decisions, one of the things that actually brought me into photo finish, one of the things that appealed to me, was horses can only race like maximum 20 races a season at the minute. I mean, previously when we were looking at 2-day cool-off periods, it was less than that. We were projecting kind of 12, 14 races a season. So the maximum races that a horse can race in his lifetime is probably no more than 100, 120. That's not really enough to make proper data-driven decisions around a horse. Like, it's not like a critical mass of data where you can reliably use data to tell you exactly what you should be doing, which I think is a really good thing. I think the fact that critical mass doesn't exist, if you compare it to certain other games and certain other competitors in the space, the other game trademark, you can race horses thousands of times and you don't have to simulate anything. You've got thousands of simulations to rely on. You know exactly what that horse can and can't do by the end of those 2,000 races.
Yeah,
I don't think that.
Let's combine these 2 points. It's like how well are you keeping your books? How well are you keeping your own ideas about what's going on, and so that you can sure you can't get an idea of what necessarily exactly what your horse can do in 100 races, but can you attempt to make a claim on understanding what your horses are doing generationally, and like keeping some sort of through line there? Like, can you do that? Who knows? I don't really know, but
yeah, there'll be data points to plot. There'll be things to notice for sure, and whether you notice them or not, that is going to be how skilled you are at analyzing data. But I do think it's a good thing that this game isn't purely data analytics. It's not. It can't be, because there isn't the critical mass of data per horse to do that.
all right.
I would agree. All right. Well, yeah, I guess just looking at chat, see if we had any more questions. Yeah, I think we are good. So Saturday, yeah, obviously everybody in chat, Discord, Twitter, follow the team. Get the latest updates on everything for Saturday. I believe it's going to be over on the YouTube, and then like rebroadcast into the other channels like last time, Fib, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, we'll
okay.
We'll pump it out somehow. I mean, that's you're not using StreamYard though, right? We could talk about the logistics off stream, but
no, I just meant for like the end place for people, because I know last time we did like the multicast with like the Twitter where it sends out to that that main feed. So
yeah,
we'll
figure it out and let it. Yeah,
so,
we'll let everybody know. Make sure that we have that on lock. We'll test it. Yep. But
sounds good.
You will get an announcement regardless of where it is when when the time's coming.
Exactly.
Block your calendars for the time, okay? And I believe that is 7
right.
p.m. Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, right? And
the race goes off at 7.
Race goes off at 7, but the broadcast starts when 6.
6 p.m. Eastern. Correct.
6 p.m. Eastern. Cool. 6 p.m. Eastern. Second ever virtual Kentucky Derby and photo finish with the wonderful assistance of our community. Extra shout outs, David Peeb, and of course Mo, who's here. And if you are not subscribed to, you just have to subscribe to him right now. Just support him, help the man. He's just doing so much for us. He's a great guy. So great stream, fun talk, good talk. Everybody.
Hell yeah, appreciate you, brother. And as always, Fib does get paid to say that, so take it with a grain of salt. Pete,
very little
final words before we head out here into Derby weekend?
No, mate, enjoy it. I think you might be being prophetic with your choice of horse on screen at the minute, so let's see if that comes to fruition. Yeah, but now looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is who I'm not saying this is Mo's pick, but it might be my Mo opinion. Just saying, this is kind of who I'm liking. So,
pretty good record on that, boy.
Yes, sir. But all right, fellas, I appreciate you guys joining me as always, bailing me out, or else I'd be talking to myself. And great conversation as always. Chat, appreciate you all. We will catch you guys in Discord. Have a great week and be kind. Rewind. Peace.
Talk soon. See ya.
Cheers.